We got a bunch of parts in for the Conquest. We've got our air cleaner gasket. We have our locking pawl for the lift arm that is broke right here on the original one. We have our new cruise control lever. Upper engine gasket assortment. When I say upper, I mean heads and forward to the valves and the rocker arms, and new rocker arm studs, and various seals and gaskets, head gaskets, and valve cover gaskets, and then this beautiful $95 piece right here is the new lift arm, because we do have a definite broken issue with that lift arm right there. We're on the intake, and you guys are looking at the vacuum side of the carburetor of the engine, and you guys might notice right here this engine just keeps throwing more things at me. So I've already talked to the owner. Got to pick up a new valve cover. It just, oh, that's blinding. It just amazes me how much damage was done to the entire tractor, and then the repair shop had the audacity to actually charge him to get it back. Unbelievable. The engine was never pulled off of the frame, which it should have been, because the crank seal's bad. So I'm yet again ordering more parts that I have to wait on to come in. Fortunately, Andy's real relaxed about it. He knows the thing's going to be fixed right, and he's not worried about it. And he said, plus, I got my buddy Zero Turn, and I'm kind of liking it. So at least that's a good thing there. He's got something to mow with, so I'm not under as much pressure, but I'd still like to get this thing done and out of here. We're going to continue. I've got everything disconnected. I am ready to unbolt the engine, take the clutch off, pull everything apart, and see what other kind of carnage we've got. Anchor out. There was anti-seize on the crankshaft, but that anti-seize did no good on the main drive pulley. So what did I have to do? I had to cut the thing off. So, and also the other repair shop attempted, of course seems to be the operative word with everything that they're doing, they attempted to remove the pulley and dented it all up, so it was something that had to be ordered anyway. So I just cut the thing off. After a bit of fighting, that is. But we're going to get it on the bench over here, get the tins off of it, and get a closer look and see if we've got any significant or substantial leaks anywhere. I've already shown you guys that the valve cover here has a good crack in it. That's ordered, waiting on that to come in. This little thing's just nickel and diming, and poor Andy, his truck just broke down. He's got to have that repaired. I kind of feel for him, but we'll take care of him. We'll get this thing situated and set up and ready to go out the door here in pretty short order as soon as all the parts come in. So stay tuned. We'll see what we find once we get it over on the engine stand, aka Workmate by Black & Decker. Stay tuned, gang. Get the light up a little bit here. This head is relatively clean, but it appears to have the original head gasket on it. This head has got a lot of clogging going on it. Now mind you, this went to a repair shop. Why wouldn't you clean things up? Explain it to me. Look at all this. So crank seal's definitely bad, and we can see here that this head is leaking. So we'll pull everything off, get this head off, get a new head gasket on it, get it cleaned up, get the whole block cleaned up. And after we get the block cleaned up, get that head off, we'll take another look at how things are shaping up. So that's blinding. There we go. Wow. Well, that light works, huh? Anyway, that's where we're at. There is a blown head gasket. It's obvious that head gasket was not repaired or replaced. And the crank seal, like I said, it's leaking too. So we'll get her done. Stay tuned. Pretty as a picture. All cleaned up. You guys see that crack real good right now. But got to pop the heads off. I'll clean the heads a little better once they're off of the engine. But cleaned up pretty good. Tons of oil and junk all over it. But as you can see, Andy's getting back a nice clean engine. Also got to take care of that mess. We'll get all that cleaned up and scraped up. It's all over everywhere. Alright. See you guys in a little bit. Long day out here in the shop and it's only 1 o'clock. Oh, okay. Here's the engine. Now, look here. See that? All that rust? That makes it really, really hard to pull a pulley off. So, where to put it? There it is. About the only way to get them off is to cut them off. Now this piece is cast iron and it's welded to the flange, but I didn't have a problem cutting it off because they had already destroyed that pulley. So that is something else that repair shop did. And all I did was just cut down enough to where I could stick a chisel in there and whack it and cause it to just break in half. That's about the only way you can get those off, I guess. I talked to my buddy Jerm, that's what he said. He said just cut it in half and bust it off. So that's what we did. So I definitely, and there's even pitting in there. So we've got to get this all cleaned up nice and smooth and then put a ton of magic stuff on there. Get out of there. Right there. That's the ticket. Get that never sees on there. Anti-seize. You know, that silver stuff that gets all over everywhere. You see, the funny thing is, it was on the clutch. I would have just assumed that it would have been all the way up, the PTO clutch. But I did. I went through and everything else is all cleaned up now. And then that's sitting out there getting ready to scrub the frame down on it. Probably going to end up power washing it. I'll take it out to the gorge, aka garage, fire up the power washer and get everything all cleaned up. Because when I do something like this, I want to be sure that there's no evidence of an oil leak anywhere on the machine. That way, after they get it, I have them look at it after a few hours of operation and check and see if they have any evidence of oil anywhere, and then to take pictures of it and send it to me so I know. Most generally, the oil dipsticks, they always leak. Even if you put a new gasket in them or O-ring, they'll still leak. They're real hard to get sealed up, so you're almost always going to have oil in that vicinity. But primarily where I would be looking for oil would be here, coming down onto the frame, and here, coming down onto the frame. So I see some areas where I didn't get it super clean, but she's clean enough for me. At least it'll let me get in there and get things taken apart without risk of contaminating. Now I wanted to show you guys something else. Something else that presented itself as I was cleaning the bulk of the grease and messy mess off of the frame of the tractor. Tell me if you guys know what that is right there. You see that? You know what that is? I'm going to tell you what that is. That is the anti-backfire solenoid gasket. That's not in the carburetor. Another wonderful example of that quote-unquote repair shop hack job. Fortunately, I was going to go ahead and go through the carburetor and I would have noticed it, but now I know it's not in there. So definitely need to get that taken care of. But we are in the process. I'm sitting here babbling. No sense in babbling. Let's get busy. Let's get those heads off. Be back. Now if I end up with an oil leak, we'll know. It keeps getting more and more interesting. Cracked right across the face there. And there are supposed to be gaskets here. Because they over torqued it, it destroyed the gaskets. Gotta love repair shops that don't know what the heck they're doing. Alright, head's coming off. We got the head off. And where we blew through was right here. You can see it right there. And these are laminated. It's 3 sections. But there was our breach. You see how dark that is right there? That's where it was blowing oil through. So we've got this one to do and this one to do. I showed you guys on the Vanguard, the Intech. Make sure both your surfaces are completely clean. I'll bring the cylinder up and go ahead and clean the top of the cylinder off. But you guys can see it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, not at all. It looks really, really good. Push rods are good and straight. Valves are a little out of adjustment. This head bolt right here was way over torqued. This head bolt was very loose. So you guys got to remember when you're torquing, and we just got 4 head bolts here, so it'd be crisscross. Okay, you just got to remember you've got to get the torque wrench on these things. You can't skip and skimp on something like a head gasket. Just like on an automobile, you don't do it right on an automobile, you're going to be replacing head gaskets left and right and possibly burning up heads. Okay, we'll get that cleaned up. Stop by. That's what happens. They did a lube job. Their steering was a little too tight. I wanted to show you guys a little bit of something here. This surface here has not been cleaned yet. You can see, and it's rough. It's going to have to be blocked. But I want you to look here. Right here where this breach was is right there on the head. I don't know if you guys can see that mark or not. See that mark? There you can see it. It's protruding. It is sticking out. So I'm going to have to stone that and get that perfectly level. That probably aided in failure on that head gasket. So I'll get that blocked, get this surface clean, and ready to go back together. Stay tuned. A little show up, but I just took a stone that I know is perfectly level and just went across this area here diagonally, just like this, to knock that little, there you can kind of see it there, to knock that little nick level. And we got her level. So now it's time to clean that surface, get that side buttoned up. See this little shiny thing here? That's a magnet. Just showing you guys that even though you can't see that it has a pressed in cast iron sleeve, not magnetic here, but the sleeve is cast iron. Enough of that. What do you say we put this head on? Huh? New head gasket. Bolts. Well, we need a little more than that, don't we? I guess we need the head. Ha. Okay. $165 inch-pounds on this particular engine. You guys remember that sheet that I posted the video on that shows you what your settings are? So be sure that you use them. If you don't, you will end up with what we wound up with here, and that is an engine that had a way under torqued and a way over torqued. Yes, my gloves are clean. Yes, both surfaces are clean. Yes, I put it on the right way. Okay, I'm going to run these down really, really carefully here. Not even going to let them see. Then we're running the rest of the way down with our trusty old torque wrench, which I used to have in my hand, but is now missing. Where'd it go? Where did you put the torque wrench? Well, this is going to make for wasted time on the video, isn't it? Hello? I just had it. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I know all of you have done that before too. You have everything right there in front of you, and then you misplace it just when you need it. I had it over on the parts washer because that's where the bolts were. Okay, 165 inch-pounds. There's 150. 160, 165. Finger tighten them, guys. See, I didn't even run them all the way down with the impact. It's not a good idea to use the impact unless you're really, 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 really careful. And remember, crisscross pattern. So run these just till you get the slightest bit of resistance. Then you're going to go back and forth and continue compressing that gasket little by little, little by little, little by little, so that everything's good and even. Nice even pressure. And you're going to notice that there. And that's not very much, guys. That's it. Just barely pushing down. Just till it clicks. It doesn't sound like much, but that's all it needs. There we go. That's it. That head is on.